Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the first video in my JavaScript without jQuery series. This video is just going to be a quick tutorial on how to edit the text from the DOM, how to kind of traverse the DOM and then go into elements and edit the text. So we're going to start off here. We're going to make a simple h1 element and we're going to give that an ID of target. We're going to go ahead and create that, and for the text we're going to say something simple. We're just going to say hello. Now let's go over to our JavaScript file. And the way we target that element that we just created is you say document dot get element by ID. And then you pass in a string, and that string is going to be whatever the ID is that we gave that element. So in this case, we said target. And just to make things easier, I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to a variable, so we can say variable target. Variable target equals, and then the element with the ID of target. So let's go ahead, and I just want to show you guys what this will console log. So we're going to go ahead and console log this variable that we created. And let's see what that gives us. First of all, we have this hello text on the screen. Let's take a look at the console. And as we can see, the console gave us the element that we gave the ID of target to. If we wanted to get just the text from this element, we could say something such as inner HTML, and what that'll do is that'll give us just the text inside, so we just see hello. It's very similar to jQuery, actually. And now you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I have multiple elements within each other? So, what if we had a div outside here, and that div had, let's give it an ID of I am div. And we'll give that closing, put that outside here. And so what could be a way we could access the text inside this header that's inside this div? So we're going to go ahead and target the div, which had an ID of I am div. And then we're going to say here, instead of inner HTML, we can say children. And what that'll do is that'll look inside the div, and well, I'll just show you with the console log. Take a look. So it gives us back an array, and that's actually pretty important to note. It gives us back an array with all the children. So you can see here it just gave us one item, and it says 0 because with arrays it starts at 0 instead of 1. And so we just get back one item, and it has all these attributes on it. And you can see that the inner HTML and the inner text is set to hello, which is what we'd expect here. So if we had multiple items in here, let's say we had a bunch more h1 tags in here, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and type in some random stuff for these. And then if we go and we console log, we can see we get an array back just as before, but this time we have all those h1 tags that we put in. And they all have their different respective texts for each one. And so if we want to go ahead and grab a specific child, we just give it the index in that array. So we want to grab the first one. We would just say children at index of 0. Let's go ahead and see what the console gives us. And look, it gives us that first one, which is to be expected. And if we gave it index of 1, it would go and grab the second one. So here we get the second child. If we want to grab the text, just as before, you can say inner HTML. And that'll go to the second child of the div and grab just the text from there. And as I may have mentioned before, you don't have to use inner HTML. You can also use inner text is another one, and that'll give you the same thing. And if you were to just say children.inner text, look what happens. We get undefined, and that's because it's not able to just go ahead and grab all the text from all those elements. You actually have to traverse the DOM and tell it exactly where you want it to go. So you'd have to explicitly say, go to that first child, get the inner text. There you go, hello, because that's the first one. Another, just kind of like a bonus thing, it's a little different when you're working with classes. So if I change this to class, I just want to show you guys the syntax here because it can be a little confusing. I'm not sure why they made it like this, but you have to say, instead of, because you'd think it'd be get element by class, right? But it's actually get elements by class name. So it's a little different. And there's actually another difference, and I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and console log this, get elements by class name, and I'll show you what that logs. You can see we get the div, because that's the div with the class imDiv. And check this out. We actually get an array back, and we weren't getting an array back before when we were saying get elements by ID. We were getting an array when we were talking about the children. When we were referring to the children, we were getting back an array, but we weren't getting an array if it was just getting this one element by the ID. So let me show you what I'm talking about, because that's probably really confusing. So if I said get element by ID, let me make sure I go and I change that to ID again. So check out what the console log gives. See, I told you guys it was confusing. I have to remove this S. There we go. So as you can see, it just straight up just gives us the element. It's like, oh, you want me to go fetch that ID? Okay, here's the div with that ID. But then when I change it back to get elements by class name, see, I'm still just targeting that div, right? And I'm going to go ahead and change this back to class. And now check out what the console gives us. It gives us an array. And so if you're working with, if you're targeting classes, it's going to give you back an array. So you're going to have to specify immediately after which one you want, because there could be multiple imDiv classes. And so if I just add a 0 to the end of there, you can see now it looks just like it did when we said get element by ID. And so then we can go ahead and continue with the array just as before with this array of children. So we can say, dot children, and then you specify which child you want. So you say the first one, inner HTML. And then boom, there we go, hello, which is exactly as we expected. Anyway, that's the end of the tutorial for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first video, so any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.